guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sam, and I run the Facebook group Ute All the Cars, as well as this YouTube channel. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Adventure Vehiculist and Adventure SBMX, respectively. And I want to talk to you today about my Ranchero project and what's going on here. I keep getting asked a lot of the same questions over and over, and I just kind of want to go over my answers in detail because, you know, TikTok and Instagram, they don't really allow you to respond in great depth, and everybody just keeps asking about the same things. So first of all, why did I cut the back off of this car? Well, if you go back to before I did that, I discussed it, but let's go over it again. I really have wanted to build a flatbed muscle car for a long time. It is specifically called a tonner in Australia, and they made them there, but they were Chevys mostly, and a lot of people convert their everyday cars there. They cut the back off, install a nice aftermarket cab back, and put a tray on it. And I really want to build a classic muscle car version here, and I've been looking for like a rear-ended muscle car or something along those lines for a long time. And I happened to get this car in a trade. I bought a 74 Super Beetle for $1,000 and replaced the floors in it. It took me a couple of weeks worth of work. I'd say I had maybe 50 to 100 hours in the bug, and probably about $400 of my own money, so call it about $1,400. I traded that car with no title for this car with a title. This car had an engine in it that runs. I'm told the transmission shifts fine. The car did 80 down the freeway, but it had no brakes, and the floors were completely gone. Like, it needs floors really bad. So I tore it all apart in order to replace the floors. And when I took it apart, I honestly just decided I didn't want to put it back together as an entire fleet side car. If I'm going to blow it all up, I'm going to do the restoration and do the work on it myself. I want to build what I want to build, and that is a flatbed. So I cut the back off in order to make a custom cab back for it. When I put it back on the frame, the rear of the frame is going to get modified to accept a nice flat tray that's going to be custom made by me, and eventually someday it should be back on the road as a flatbed. You'll get to see all that right here. Unfortunately, it is taking a ton of work. This one I already have 100 hours into, and I'm not even close to being done. I actually just got started on the floor. It's really tedious, and it's pretty much just cut and weld and grind over and over and over, and I don't think you guys want to watch hours and hours of that. So instead, I've just been taking some pictures of the steps that I'm doing, and I think I'm going to kind of montage them. I've been doing that on TikTok a lot, but it's kind of boring to watch even for me, so I don't imagine you guys want to see a ton of it. It'll become really visually cool again when I start putting the car back together, and I will definitely chronicle that again. But until then, it's just going to be kind of updates here and there, and maybe even some other projects going on while I work on this thing. It's a real chore. The other thing people ask me about a lot is money. They always say, oh my gosh, you could have gotten so much money out of this thing, and how can you justify losing all this money that you're losing? I am not losing any money. I got this thing for $1,400, and I sold the wheels off of it for $400, which means my original outlet into it is, again, about $1,000. For this vehicle, that is almost nothing. It's really, really cheap. In fact, I could find you much worse examples on the market right now that cost more money than that. The fact that I got it so cheap means that I don't worry too much about how much I'm losing. In fact, I've already sold several other parts off of it that are worth a good deal. And I have lots of other parts still left that I can sell that could potentially make me have this car for free. And what I mean by that is that I'm keeping the frame, the engine, the transmission, the whole front end, and the cab, and the doors, and the mirrors, and all of that. And my outlet, cash-wise, may eventually be zero for that. Now, once I put a restoration into this thing, as far as new bushings, new hoses, new belts, new everything that it needs to be a fresh car again, I'm definitely going to have some of my own money into it again, but it's still definitely going to be nowhere near what it would have cost me to buy a nice, clean, running and driving 74 Ranchero. Does that make sense? Good. I recently bought a 1994 Ford F-250 for $350 and towed it home. It had a 351 Windsor in it. It's supposed to be good. Ford Sterling 10.25 rear end, complete body. I've already parted out the doors, the hood, the cowl, one fender for most of my purchase price of the truck. I have the engine listed for sale, and if it sells, then that will definitely put me into profits. If it doesn't sell, then I'll continue to hang on to it. I plan on pulling it into the garage, tearing it down, and maybe running it on an engine stand, and seeing if I can get it. If I run it myself and I hear it run, I'll probably end up keeping it as a spare to the Ranchero. And the reason that I choose to keep things is because, honestly, all of this flipping and wheeling and dealing that I do, I look at as a job. I work for a profit, and I do turn a profit almost every time. I will turn a profit on the F-250, and I will turn a profit on this Ranchero, even though I get to keep the bulk of it. And that is the point, that I get to make money on this deal, not lose it, and I also get to keep the cool parts of it. For instance, I'm keeping the truck bed trailer from the F-250, which is the whole back half. I could have parted and sold that stuff and got more, but the whole reason that I bought the F-250 in the first place is that I wanted the trailer for myself. And honestly, if I can make my money back and also keep the Windsor, then I would do that too, because it'll be a spare engine for my Ranchero. The Ranchero I'm keeping and cutting up and doing weird things too for the very same reason, because honestly, I got so much out of the Bug already and so much out of the Ranchero already that I'm really not too worried about returning my profit here. I could certainly part it out right now and make a bunch of profit back if I really wanted to, but because it costs me so little compared to what I could potentially make on it, I would rather not do that. I would rather hang on to it, keep it, and enjoy it for myself. Honestly, all this work that I'm putting into it, it being in my garage, is a really healthy outlet. It keeps me busy, it keeps my hands busy. Otherwise, I would be bored at home playing video games, smoking weed, and doing otherwise nothing most of the time. And I gotta tell you, I honestly hate that. I like working with my hands, and I like working on cars. That's specifically why I come out here and do this. It makes me happy. And if you can relate to that, I hope you'll give my channel a like and a subscribe. Check out my group on Facebook. We talk about utes there all day long. And yeah, I hope you'll follow along with this build as it continues to grow and progress. I have an idea of what it will look like in my mind, but you know, it can always change. Time will really tell. I was just telling my friend Garrett yesterday that I really can't wait to set the body back on the frame, because that's really going to be the aha moment where you can really visualize what this thing is going to look like when it's finished, and I haven't even seen that myself yet. So honestly, I'm along for the ride just like you guys. Stay tuned.